Our featured speaker, Miss Mukta Vadera, comes from India by way of the snowy wastes of Toronto, then to California. I was told earlier that staying in Toronto for an extended number of years did allow them both to appreciate the weather in California. Mukta comes from a very spiritual family. Her father wrote 2 books on spirituality, and Mukta was essentially instrumental in doing a lot of research on those books to help her father. And that gave her a lot of insight into spiritual growth. I'm sure that's what she'll be talking about tonight. She lives with a family in the Bay Area. She's an independent filmmaker, writer and director of short films. And with no further ado, it gives me great pleasure to turn it over to her.
Hello, my name is Mukta Vadera, and it's my pleasure to come out here and talk about spiritual growth through faith from the angle of Hinduism. Now, Hinduism, this is a very deep and a complex subject matter, but my talk is like a little drop of water in a vast ocean. But I'm still very glad to be being a part of this event. So, Hinduism, as you might know, is one of the oldest religions in this world, and it's the 3rd most practiced religion. It is a religion of rich culture, traditions, and beliefs. And religions like Buddhism, Sikhism, Jainism, they've all come out of Hinduism. Now, contrary to many beliefs out there, Hindus only believe in one God, and that God is Brahma. But we do believe in many manifestations of God in the form of avatars or celestial entities that make up our gods and goddesses. So I can give you the analogy of the sun. Like the sun, it's very high up there and shining ever so brightly, but it's hard to relate to the sun. But it's easier to relate to the rays of the sun. So hence, you see all our gods and goddesses. So, we have all our gods and goddesses so that people can worship them the way they can pick and choose their own pathway to God. So, they can decide on who they want to worship according to their traditions, their beliefs, their nature, their personality, all of that. Hindus believe in one God without denying the existence of other gods. Now, Brahma, our God, there is no beginning and no end. God is limitless and eternal. You'll see the shape of the Shivling, which is, you will see that there is no beginning and no end. Now, despite the analogy of the sun, Hindus believe that every living creature, every living being, animals, birds, ants, everybody has a little bit of God in them. It's in the form of Atma or soul. Soul is immortal, whichever dies. We believe in reincarnation, the cycle of life and death. We believe in the Karam theory, which is your Karam will define your next life, and then your next life, till you actually reach Nirvana. You get one with God. Heaven and hell, we believe, are on this earth. Human birth is a privilege because that is the only way you can reach Nirvana. Most Hindus have a temple in their home. You'll find them mostly to be vegetarians. Now, the most sacred symbol of Brahma is Om. Om represents sound in a visual form. It is made up of 3 sounds, A, U, M. It's Om, and it is, A is the awake state, U is the dream state, and M is like the deep sleep. Chanting of Om is said to have very high spiritual and creative powers. So one of our important gods is Ganesh, Lord Ganesh. He is the son of Lord Shiva and Parvati. He is the god of wisdom. And you will find every Hindu, if you are starting out a project or starting a startup, or your child is going first day of school, anything we do, the first thing we do is we go to Lord Ganesh. Then we have the three central gods of Hindus. It's Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. He is the creator of the universe, Vishnu is the preserver, and Mahesh is the destroyer of universe. Then we have Lord Krishna, who is for love and devotion, Lord Ram for whom we celebrate Diwali, and Lord Shiva. Whatever you accumulate in life, be it your wealth, your experience, your memories, they all stay here. Nothing goes back with you. Even the body that you came in with does not go back. Change is the way of the world. From moment to moment, the world is changing. And so are you. Yesterday you were a child. Today you are a grown-up. Tomorrow you'll be a senior. So change is the way of the world. Whatever is happening, let it. If you can control the things you can control, but the ones that you cannot, they are greater than you, they happen. Let it happen. They were meant to happen. So the past is gone. The present, the future is yet to be. So it's the present that matters the most. And so you make the most of it. You enjoy the present. And finally, if you do everything, you can be doing anything in life. But if you keep the divine in you while you are doing, that is the best form of life that you can lead. One of the stories that came to mind is a little while ago, it was trending on social media, that the conversation between life and death. And death says to life, how come we are both a part of life? How come everybody loves you and everybody hates death? So life said, well, because I am a beautiful lie and you are an ugly truth. So that, so now here is the meaning of life by the Hindu philosophy. Dharma. Dharma means duty, and virtue. So if you go about doing your duty in a virtuous way, with morally and ethically in life, that is one of the best ways to lead life. If you're a doctor, you're saving patients. If you're a gardener, you're tending to your garden. Arth is to achieve wealth and prosperity in life. So wealth, as in, for a good life, you need to have wealth. It's a good thing to achieve wealth. There's nothing wrong in acquiring as much wealth as you can, as long as it's done in a right way. And then is calm. Calm is the pleasures of the flesh and enjoyment of life. Kam Sutra came out of India. It's important for the procreation of the world to keep going generations. And enjoyment in life, as in enjoying a family life, enjoying company of your friends, enjoying your kids, enjoying your work. So that is calm. And of course, all of these are done with keeping moksha in mind, that at the end of it, if you are able to get out of this cycle of life and death, that is the best way to lead a life. Now, in Hinduism, Guru holds a very high place in Hinduism. There's a very popular Sanskrit saying that Guru Govind do khade kake lago pai, which means if you meet a guru and God on the way, who are you going to wish first? And the answer is Guru, because your guru is the one who has the power to introduce you to God. So that's why gurus hold a very high place in Hinduism. Now the 4 stages of an ideal Vedic life. According to Hinduism, an ideal Vedic life, well, the ancient saints took the life to be 100 years. So the first quart is brahmacharya, where you are single, where you are a student of life, you are learning discipline, you are learning a talent that might come useful later in life. So that is brahmacharya, where you are like a sponge, you are soaking up all that you can learn. Grahas is domestic. This is the time when you are mostly involved in the worldly aspect of your life. This is the one where you get married, you have children, you have a job, you enjoy life. Then is Vanprastha, that is from 50 to 75, which is, you start to contract from the world. Like your interest in divine starts to get more and more. And then is sannyas, which is, you cut off all ties from the world in a mental way. And then your main goal in life is to worship divine. So this is spiritual growth according to Hinduism. Now coming back to spiritual growth, what is faith? It's spiritual growth through faith. So what is faith? In Sanskrit, it means vishwas, which means belief, a belief in something which is bigger than you. In Hinduism, faith is synonymous with spirituality. It is self-existing. It's, does not require proof, but it's sustained in intuition and your inner engineering. So the explicit form of faith which hold the highest virtue is, your faith in God, in scriptures, in the holy scriptures, in your guru, in your pathway, and possibly to liberation from this cycle of life and death. Now, and it's not an exaggeration that faith can move mountains. Faith has the power to heal. They say that, I'll tell you my story. So when I got married, after university, I got married and I came to Canada, Toronto. So I went to India after 4 years, and I had my 2-year-old with me. And so when I went back, my dad, who's very spiritual, took me to meet our guru. So, he asked me, hey, you are living in a foreign country. How is life there? And so I told him, generally what my, schedule is like. And so at the end, he asked me, before we were leaving, he said, Mukta, do you pray? And I said, well, I work full time and I have a 2-year-old, so I don't get time to pray. And so he said, oh, well, 2-year-old is equivalent to a full-time job. Anyways, so he said to me, if in your schedule I find you 5 minutes, will you do it? And I said, yes, absolutely, I'll do it. And so, so I went, and so he told me, okay, so you told me 7:45 is when you go to work, and you are, it takes you 15 minutes driving time. So the first 5 minutes is all you have to do. So you do it, and you can keep your eye on the watch, it's all good, and do it for 5 minutes, and then you turn it off and you can listen to your music. And I said, okay, I can do that. So when I came back on my way to work, I remembered, I said, oh, Maharaj said to do this. So I turned, and I remember I was driving and my eye was on the watch. And as soon as 5 minutes were up, I turned my music on. And so what happened was, over a period of like 3-4 months went by. And then one day I was going to work. And we have a little temple at home, and I was doing Jain, I would go to work. And I thought to myself, every day I am in a rush to get to work. Why don't I, from tomorrow, I'll try and get up 5 minutes early so I can sit down and do, whatever I do in the car. So I should do it like properly, sit down, do my little prayer. And so I thought, okay, that's the way to do it. So I started doing that. And then, subtly I started finding some changes, like things they stopped riling you. Like for example, you're driving and somebody cuts you off, and you're like, jerk. And so after a while, that stopped. Things like these stopped bothering me. For example, somebody cuts you off, you were like, okay, if you are more in a rush, it's all good. So you find yourself getting more grounded. And I found, I became a vegetarian that year. The questions that everybody has, what's the purpose of life? Why am I here? What's going to happen after? All those questions, they dissipated. I found that, what does it matter where you come from or where you're going? I am here, and this is the moment, and this is what I should enjoy. So that, I found faith. That was, I think, my little spiritual growth through faith. Now, they say reason belongs to mind while faith belongs to the heart. So in Hinduism, they say, that the world is a maya jal. It's an illusion of mind. So, what was yesterday is not there today. You can never go back to yesterday. So the philosophy of Hinduism is that, if yesterday is gone and tomorrow is unknown, so this is what you make the most of it, what is here and now, and enjoy life. I'll give you an example. When I went to India, I'd gone with a friend to the library, and I found this book on happiness. So our Upanishads have like a whole thing on happiness. But this book had like a little bit like the gist of what's happiness. So I picked it up, and it was very interesting. So it said there is few kinds of happinesses. And number one, there is, your happiness. You like this guy, and then, he asks you out. I'm happy. You get a raise. Your boss says, you've been working hard. You get a raise. You're happy. So my happiness depends on somebody else. That is the first kind of happiness. Second is, I want to get an A+ in university, in my exams. And you work hard, and you get A+, and you're happy. Then you say, I want that job. So you hone your skills towards, so one day you get that job. You are very happy. Now this happiness is good because it gives you self-confidence. So that is the second kind of happiness. Now the third is, it's lunchtime, and you pick up a lunch from a restaurant, and you're going to sit in the park and enjoy your lunch. And you see someone on the way who you think could use that lunch. So you walk up to them and you say, may I give you lunch? And they say, well, thank you. So now you're sitting on that same chair without a lunch, but there is this little giddy kind of happiness that, something good happened. So there is that little happiness.
I think this is incredible religion. I read about it from before, like the maybe 3 pages of the Bhagavad Gita, which is just so complicated.
Right.
And why, at least in this country, more people don't know about it, other from the fact that you have the gurus and that come here and recruit kids and that type of thing, but like mainstream, just regular Hindus.
Right.
Why don't more people in this country know about it?
That is such an excellent question, because we've talked about this because I think we Hindus don't know how to market ourselves. It is one of the greatest religions out there, and it's one of the most liberal. You can, it's the way of the world. It's actually not a religion. It's a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the reason is because we do not market. I've never heard anybody say, we don't convert anyone. Like we have, it's a religion. You come, you worship. If you like it, it's all good. So that's, I think, one of the things, because the tenets of Hinduism are really very good. They are like very high up there, but it's not marketed.
Yeah, because no one's going to argue with any of the principles in Hinduist beliefs, basically. I mean, maybe some of them, but but basically, the fact you're vegetarians,
Right.
or the fact is that you believe in a form of karma.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Right.
see, vegetarian is because you don't want to kill someone for the pleasure of your tongue, like
Right.
So you're harming. It would hurt them, so that you could have a moment. So that is the thinking behind being a vegetarian,
Right.
and.
We were non-vegetarian before.
So, thank you, Mukta. Hinduism might not be good at marketing themselves, but you take an excellent first step.
Thank you. And food is served